brother receive the light.
The individual is handicapped by coming face to face with a conspiracy so monstrous that he cannot believe it even exists. And that's the problem we have today. This conspiracy is so monstrous, so demonic, that we tell people about it and they say, "You're crazy. This is America. It can't happen here." People don't even believe it exists. And that's the problem we have today, folks, is doing that, convincing people that this conspiracy is real.
Holy fucking hell. Are you fucking kidding me? They have riots trained off. They're coming under sustained attacks from bottles and other objects. There's a situation that's unfolding there. You can
see. It's not a fantasy. The wheels are in motion. And politicians are passing laws to steal our freedoms and protect the elite.
I'm here to talk to you about these FEMA camps.
They don't exist.
So why was it put into that bill?
Before it's too late.
The scenario was a fake, but the pepper spray and billy clubs used to break up this riot were definitely real.
Removed from their homes in the Pacific Coast states to wartime communities established in out-of-the-way places. Their evacuation did not imply individual disloyalty, but was ordered to reduce a military hazard at a time when danger of invasion was great. Two-thirds of the evacuees are American citizens by right of birth.
Our government again went into open roundup mode, detaining and imprisoning thousands of United States citizens.
If you voted for a certain political candidate, you should be considered a potential threat.
That you could be a possible threat. You could be a terrorist threat against government structure.
Why am I interested in getting this information out? It's simply because it affects us all.
Against the wall!
On April 1st, 1979, by Presidential Executive Order 12127, the Federal Emergency Management Agency was created for the purpose of coordinating the response to disasters that have occurred in the United States and that overwhelm the resources of local and state authorities. Upon its creation, FEMA absorbed the Federal Insurance Administration, the National Fire Prevention and Control Administration, the National Weather Service Community Preparedness Program, as well as several other federal-level preparedness programs. FEMA was also given the responsibility for overseeing the United States Civil Defense, a function which had previously been performed by the DoD's Defense Civil Preparedness Agency. In 2003, FEMA became part of the Department of Homeland Security's Emergency Preparedness and Response Directorate. FEMA follows three simple directives. 1. National emergency recovery. 2. Continuity of government. And 3. Combating perceived threats to the existing social and political order. To remote housing facilities called war relocation camps for the purpose of detainment, re-education, and forced labor. Of those interned, 62% were United States citizens. President Franklin Roosevelt authorized the internment with Executive Order 9066, allowing military commanders to designate military areas as exclusion zones. This power was then used to declare the entire Pacific coast as an exclusion zone. Let there be no argument. The United States government has put its own citizens in detention centers. The justifications for doing so range from personal prejudices based upon political and religious grounds to wartime frenzies and fears of future terrorist attacks. In a time of great crisis, the impossible becomes possible. Is it possible that internment camps are being built in the United States today? Is it possible that history will repeat itself?
They're here to implement the UN's insurgency against the uprising of the American people. Wow. When things get bad. And obviously the things that are getting bad are being made that way because they're already here waiting. If the government says you want a list, these foreign troops are going to take you to one of 800 concentration camps, which I've tracked down myself. It's a perfectly made list of people like yourself who gets information out there. Preachers, teachers, concerned citizens, anybody who might be a threat, or anybody who might know too much, or anybody who blogs too much, myself, anybody. Even soldiers who are returning from Iraq and Afghanistan, they also will put in, because they have military experience and will fight back.
Executive Order 10990 allows the government to take over all modes of transportation and control the highways and seaports. 10995 allows the government to seize and control the communications media. 10997 allows the government to take over all electrical power, gas, petroleum, fuels, and minerals. 10998 allows the government to seize all means of transportation, including personal cars, trucks, or vehicles of any kind. 10999 allows the government to take over all food resources and farms. Executive Order 11000 allows the government to mobilize civilians into work brigades under government supervision. 11001 allows the government to take over all health, education, and welfare functions. 11002 designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. 11003 allows the government to take over all airports and aircraft, including commercial aircraft. 11004 allows the Housing and Finance Authority to relocate communities, build new housing with public funds, and designate areas to be abandoned. 11005 allows the government to take over railroads, inland waterways, and public storage facilities. 11921 gives the Federal Emergency Preparedness Agency the authority to take over all banking institutions in the United States. As we've just seen, there are laws on the books that make it perfectly legal for the United States government to suspend citizens' rights. However, if we look to the founding documents for guidance, we'll find that it's not our government that bestows these rights upon us in the first place. According to the founders, all of our rights are unalienable. So what does that mean? According to Webster's dictionary, the definition of unalienable is not capable of being transferred to another, or in layman's terms, non-negotiable, not to be forfeited, or birthright. How much plainer can it possibly be? Our founding documents tell us that these rights cannot be transferred or taken away by anyone, not by any person, not by any government. So if the government passes laws that violate the Constitution, how can they enforce those bad laws? It's very simple. We let them do it.
Most Americans would agree that it would be prudent to have a plan to provide for the continuity of government and the rule of law in case of a devastating terrorist attack or natural disaster. A plan that provides for the cooperation, the coordination, and continued functioning of all three branches of the government. The Bush administration tells us they have such a plan. They introduced a little sketchy public version that's clearly inadequate and doesn't really tell us what they have in mind. But they said, don't worry, there's a detailed classified version. But now they've denied the entire Homeland Security Committee of the United States House of Representatives access to their so-called detailed plan to provide for continuity of government. They say, trust us. Trust us, the people who brought us Katrina, to be competent in face of a disaster. Trust us, the people who brought us warrantless wiretapping and other excesses eroding our civil liberties. Trust us.
This is no joke. Huge movement of heavy artillery, tanks, rocket launchers, ground to ground to air, in and around Alexandria, Virginia, and D.C. His friend is on a secret move, the same as the above huge heavy artillery from New Jersey, Connecticut to upstate New York. The trucks assigned, 20 of them, will be moving the stuff for 2 to 3 weeks to upstate New York once they enter the convoy. They have no idea where they're going to go. Where they end up is where they're going to go. They were told, someone told him, this stuff is being distributed in areas to protect the population.
Any unlawful action from the federal government would result in an arrest by the people that are there. If they brought any armed federal agents to Nye County to conduct an illegal search and seizure, that they would be faced with the Nye County Sheriff's Office SWAT team as well, and then we'd be standing between them and my constituent.
In this scenario, everyone has a role to play. The rioters were ready to fight back as Roanoke Police, Roanoke Fire, local National Guard troops, and members of the Virginia Defense Force secured perimeters and moved in to make the arrests.
In Missouri, a new document meant to help Missouri law enforcement agencies identify militia members or domestic terrorists has drawn criticism. The February 20 report, called the Modern Militia Movement, mentions such red flags as political bumper stickers for third-party candidates, such as Ron Paul, who ran for president, talk of conspiracy theories, such as the plan for a superhighway linking Canada to Mexico, and possession of subversive literature. So the state police in Missouri have been told that if you see a car with a bumper sticker that opposes the so-called creation of North American Union, the superhighway, that you are probably following a militia member, that you are following an anti-government radical. If you see a car with a bumper sticker that says Ron Paul for president, you might be dealing with a violent radical. Exercise extreme caution.
First time that a report such as this actually named individuals. Once you label someone in a derogatory manner, an extremist, a potential militia member, terrorist, whatever term is used, for some people the moniker will remain. Before you can persecute a people, before you can incarcerate large numbers of people, you have to marginalize them. You have to create the image that these people are dangerous to society.